Every year, millions of people go online looking for answers to questions about Christianity. Whether it's questions about how to read the Bible, how to study the Bible, what is prayer? Why do we pray? What are spiritual gifts? What does sex have anything to do with marriage or not marriage or in a relationship? Is there a purpose to being single? What do I do with my job? What do I do with my career? What do I do with just being a Christian at all? Everybody has questions. Everybody's wondering what's going on with Christian faith, whether someone's a brand new Christian or they've been a Christian a really long time. We all have questions, and the reality is, friends, is that we want answers. We want answers from the Bible. We want answers from our experiences with God. We want to know what and why and how, and is there a purpose to it all, and does it give us hope and joy in the fact that we are pursuing faith? These are huge questions, and there are answers. There's answers to the good questions that we have, and we want to ask them, we want to answer them, and we want to do that together with you. My name is Joshua Shaw, and this is Masterclass on Faith.
Welcome to the Red Letter Being Challenge, where for the next 40 days, I'm going to introduce you to 5 life-changing habits taught to us by none other than Jesus Christ himself. A lot of us may have questions like, how do I be in relationship with God today? What does that even look like? Well, as we explore the life of Jesus, I'm going to show you some really powerful tools that help build your relationship with him so that ultimately we can be greater followers of Jesus Christ. Let's start this journey now.
So, Tito, where are you taking us next?
You guys might be wondering, what exactly is archaeology? It is one of the major ways that we can demonstrate the truth of the Bible, the truth of the gospel.
So the movies make it seem like it's a lot of fun digging out there, but it's probably hot, it's probably dirty.
When you make that great discovery, it's all worth it. It's still yet to be found,
Some
a
of the
major
greatest
mystery.
treasure hunting yet to be done. So what a mystery. What a great mystery.
It's hard not to imagine a young person wanting to get involved themselves.
When you just use all the material available to you, you just get a much fuller picture of history and seeing how the Bible is confirmed by all these discoveries.
All these artifacts, these ancient drawings, cave drawings, papyrus, that illuminate the scriptures, as you say, the history.
I love the work you've done because it can give us confidence in the truth of our faith. It's based on reliable fact.
We've looked at so many legitimate sites and legitimate artifacts that tie the whole Bible together, from the Old Testament to the New Testament. The real people, the places, the events. The story just comes alive.
There's still a lot of crocodiles swimming around in there. You do not want to fall in.
Glad you didn't get eaten, buddy.
Pretty dangerous stuff.
Maybe you should get into the gym a little more often. To the next great adventure.
Mountains are still being moved. Strongholds are still being loosed. God, we believe. Yes, we can see that wonders are still what you do. Bodies are still being raised. Giants are still being slain. God, we believe. Yes, we can see that wonders are still what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. Set our hearts on you. Come and do what you do. 'Cause we need a move. We need a move. Bodies are still being raised. Giants are still being slain. God, we believe. Yes, we can see that wonders are still what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. Set our hearts on you. Come and do what you do. 'Cause we need a move. We need a move. Miracles happen when you move. Healing is coming in this room. Miracles happen when you move. Heaven is coming. Miracles happen when you move. Healing is coming in this room. Miracles happen when you move. Heaven is coming. In the darkness we were waiting, without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word, from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. To reveal the kingdom coming, and to reconcile the lost, to redeem the whole creation. You did not despise the cross, for even in your suffering, you saw through the other side. Knowing this was our salvation, Jesus, for our sake you died. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. And the morning that you rose, all of heaven held its breath, till that stone was moved for good, for the Lamb had conquered death. And the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe, for the souls of all who come to the Father are restored. And the church of Christ was born, then the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel truth of old shall not kneel, shall not faint. By his blood and in his name, in his freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever
Well, good morning. I was thinking, and this past year has been a challenge to say the least for all of us. 2020 was a year that was, filled with uncertainties and change. And I would say that almost nothing is the same as it was just a year ago or just before, or just, by mid-March. And think about it. A year ago from now, if you were in a bank at the teller's window and you see somebody walk in the door with a mask over their face, what would you do? You'd duck and run for cover, right? But today, it's normal. It's the new normal. Or, a year ago, you could walk into a restaurant and as long as they weren't full, they'd, seat you at a table with people all around you and hand you a menu, take your order, you give them the menu back, they bring your food. Today, you walk into a restaurant and every other table at least is roped off or empty so that you're not sitting within 6 feet of somebody else. And, talk about, menus, they'll give you a paper menu and, you order what you want and instead of handing the menu back, it just gets discarded. Over the past year, so many businesses began encouraging their employees to work from home, which is not necessarily problematic, except for the fact that at the same time you had kids staying home for virtual learning. So you're trying to work while kids are in the house trying to do schooling, and you have to do your job, and you also end up having to be a teacher because the teacher's not there. It's not really very conducive to being a productive work environment. At the same time, in-person social interaction has been nearly eliminated, or at the very least cut way back to just those within your COVID bubble. I wonder, is COVID bubble, is that going to be something that's added to the dictionary now as we've become so used to that term now? When you consider all the change in the past year and the challenge of trying to navigate all this, in addition with everything else that's gone on this past year, it's easy to tell why this past year has been so emotionally difficult for so many people. Emotional health is an area where people have to intentionally focus on in order to get through not just this past year, but in order to go forward where they are in their lives or where we are in our lives. So today, as part 4 of our series, Life Giving, we're going to look at 4 life-giving practices of emotional health. These are things that will help you to cultivate and help you maintain your emotional health. Now, remember, we defined life-giving as having the power of providing sustenance, spirit, or life. In other words, it's something is life-giving when it gives you life, or it helps you sustain life, or maybe it improves the quality of your life. When something is that, then we say it's life-giving. So here are 4 life-giving things you can do to maintain emotional health. The first thing is, I think it's really important that we pay attention to the things, the influences that we allow into our lives, the things that we allow to influence, the input, their intake that we take into our lives. And we need to ask ourselves sometimes, is this something that I really want to allow into my mind or into my spirit? Now, I'm not saying we should, block everything out that we don't want to hear, that we, never listen to the news or read about what's going on in the world around us, or, just hide away in a cave somewhere. I'm not promoting that. But you do need to realize that what you take in through your eyes, through your ears, it does have an effect on you. As far as the news media, you need to be discerning about the news that you do take in. There's a lot of misinformation. There is a lot of disinformation in the news media and online. I'm surprised sometimes at the at the things that people share and get all in uproar about that are obviously not true. For example, if you're familiar with the Babylon Bee site or The Onion online, I've seen people share those things as if they're true, and it's obvious satire. You go to their sites and it tells you this site is satirical. In other words, it's not true stuff. It's made up. But people will share it sometimes as if it's true, and people will get all in an uproar about it. We need to do research on the sources that we're getting our information from, that they all have a slant one way or another. All the news sources reporting, they all have a slant one way or the other, left or right. And, I think it's important not just to rely on one news source, say, well, I only watch this station or watch that channel. We need to not just rely on one source, because then we're only getting that slant. I've heard the same story from two opposing channels, and the way they report it are so different, the way they interpret the facts. And also realize that on your major news channels, realize that there is a difference between news shows and opinion shows. News and opinion, both on the left and the right, they are not the same. So pay attention to what you watch and what you listen to. Everybody is different. Now, you may need to limit some of the news or some of these shows that you watch, but use your head and don't be gullible. It's the same with other types of media, other shows or movies or social media. If you're one who tends to believe whatever you hear or read, then maybe you want to cut back on your social media in particular. Or at least look at the source. Google the source. Find out how reliable of a source it is. Find out if it's a satire source, or if it's full of conspiracy theories, or if it's majorly leaning to the left or majorly leaning to the right. Take a look at those sources. The Apostle Paul gives us a good filter for what we put our minds on. It's a good filter to use. Philippians 4:8 says, fix your thoughts on these things, on what is true, what is honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. I think that's a good verse to really spend some time on, and then ask yourself, are the things I'm giving myself to, are the things I'm allowing into my heart and into my spirit, my soul, are these things true? Are these things honorable? Are they right? Are they pure? Are they lovely and admirable? Are they excellent, and are they worthy of praise? Use discernment. And don't believe everything you hear. Pay attention to what you're taking in and how it's affecting you. If you find yourself filling up with anxiety and worry and fear, then identify what's causing that and think about backing off from it. Proverbs tells us in Proverbs 4:23, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Guard your heart. Part of guarding your heart includes being protective about the things that you allow in and allow to influence you. So don't let unhealthy thoughts or ideas take up residence in your heart. Refuse to participate in argumentative and divisive behavior or talk. It's not healthy for you. So pay attention to what's influencing you. And second, be careful about the things that you hold on to. You may be holding on to something that's detrimental to your emotional health. Now, let me look at a verse in Hebrews 12:15. Watch out. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many. It doesn't take much for a bitter root to grow. A simple offense, a simple misunderstanding, those are seeds that can get planted in our heart. And if they're not dealt with quickly and completely, thoroughly, then they can sprout and grow into a bitter root. And once that bitter root takes hold, it will begin to poison every single area of your life. There is no such thing as a bitter or resentful, emotionally healthy person. You simply will not and cannot be emotionally healthy while harboring bitterness or resentment or unforgiveness in your heart. So be quick to root it out. Just don't give it any place in the first place to begin with. You know, when someone offends you, treat that offense like a hot potato. You ever picked up a hot potato? You ever play the game hot potato where, you know, if you have, then you know you don't want to hold on to it for very long because it's hot. A potato, when you're done cooking that, man, you're tossing it from hand to hand or getting rid of it quickly because you can't just sit there and hold on to it. You know, someone once said that to hold on to bitterness and resentment or unforgiveness, that it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Because it doesn't work that way. Now, the good news is, whatever the offense that was planted as that seed sprouting into a bitter root, whatever offense, whatever misunderstanding, when we go to root it out, we never have to do that on our own strength. We make the choice, and then Jesus empowers us through his Holy Spirit to root it out. Now, you may have to make that choice over and over and over and say, I choose to forgive. I choose to let go of this. I am not going to allow this in my heart any longer. It may not be a once and done deal. You may have to do that a number of times before finally it begins to loosen and you become free from it. We make the choice, but Jesus helps us carry it out. He will help you. Now, those first couple of things, the guarding your heart against destructive influences and guarding your heart against, bitterness and resentment and unforgiveness, and those things involve taking a defensive stance. We're shielding ourselves. We're guarding ourselves. Now let's talk about going on the offensive. We need to step back, protect our heart and mind like we talked about, but we also need to step forward and begin to actively do things that will cultivate our emotional health, life-giving practices. And that's what the next 2 points are all about. So our third point is take your mind, take your thoughts, and direct your mind to the Lord. Just direct it to the Lord. Be intentional about the things that you think on, the things that you dwell on or meditate on. Isaiah 26:3, it's one of my favorite verses, says, you will keep in perfect peace all who trust in you, all whose thoughts are fixed on you. A lot of anxiety and a lot of worry comes into our lives just because we habitually think on the wrong things. The Hebrew word for, in this verse, Isaiah 26:3, the Hebrew word for peace is shalom. It's kind of an all-encompassing word, much broader than what we just think of as peace, but it denotes a state of peacefulness, a sense of well-being, both externally and internally. What you think matters. The things you dwell on matters. When you rehearse something over and over and over in your mind, it grows and it matters. When you focus on everything that's going wrong in the world, you become stressed and anxious. When you become fixated on what might possibly go wrong or the worst thing that can happen, and that's all you think about or what you talk about, that's not emotionally healthy thinking. And I'm not saying to stick your head in the sand and ignore what's going on in the world around you. But if that's all you focus on, of course you're not going to be an emotionally healthy person. You're going to be a wreck. Isaiah tells us that peace comes as we fix our thoughts on the Lord. The more we fix our thoughts on him, the more his peace will begin to flood our hearts and minds. An emotionally healthy person's heart is filled with his peace. The more we fix our hearts on Jesus, the more his peace will rule our hearts and minds. When we think about and meditate on the nature and character of God, and we recall all the wonderful, all the marvelous, all the mighty things that he has done in the past, then we are reminded of what God has done, and we begin to anticipate what he will do. We begin to be filled with peace for our present circumstances and hope and confidence for the future. You see, whatever you fix your mind on consistently, that is what's going to rule in your heart and mind. That is what is going to cause you to, that is what is going to grow in your life. Whatever you fix your mind on is what's going to grow in your mind. The fourth thing we must do, and this is important, participate in healthy community. Based on conversations I've had with a lot of people over this past year, a lack of social interaction has been the single hardest thing about this past year for most people. I'm convinced of that. It's harder than having to wear masks, harder than having to work from home or dealing with virtual schooling and doing those last two things at the same time. The hardest thing for most people has been not being able to be around other people. It's the loss of connection, the loss of physical touch, the loss of interaction. You see, we are social creatures. We need to have interaction with other people. We were made to live in community. All throughout Scripture, you see people living in community. And the church body is a community. Look what Paul wrote in 1 Thessalonians 5:14. It says, "And we urge you, brothers and sisters, warn those who are idle and disruptive." Now, I want to pause there for a moment before we get on to the rest of it. Why do you think Paul said that? Why do you think he said, warn those who are idle and disruptive? It's because that kind of behavior is destructive to the church community. And the New Testament values community, the New and Old Testament, all throughout scriptures, you see the value of community. And when something would come in to disrupt it, it was wrong. And I think I believe it's in Titus where Paul says, warn a divisive person once, warn him again, and then have nothing to do with him. And that's serious language. So, and it's all because of the value of the community. That matters. And then he wrote, finishing out the verse, he said, encourage the disheartened, help the weak, be patient with everyone. These are all things that happen within the context of community relationships. The community is where life happens. It's where the disheartened are encouraged. It's where the weak are helped. It's where we are given the time and the space that we need to be able to grow into fully mature believers. Community is life-giving. Paul wrote in Romans 12:4-5, he said, just as our bodies have many parts and each part has a special function, so it is with Christ's body. We are many parts of one body and we all belong to each other. Saying we belong to each other and we need each other. None of us has everything we need on our own. This idea of it's, me, Jesus, and the Bible, and I'm fine is baloney. There is no truth in that. Nobody is meant to go it alone. Nobody is sufficient on their own. We need each other. Solomon wrote in Ecclesiastes 4, verses 9 and 10, he said, 2 people are better than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. And then he says this, it's a very sobering statement, but someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Someone who falls alone is in real trouble. We need community for our emotional health. We need the church. Now, admittedly, community has been difficult to maintain this past year, but it's still doable. It's hard when you can't gather in person, and hopefully that won't be much longer. But I know it's been a challenge. It's been difficult as we've not been able to see each other in person, or even when we did see each other. You know, you've got to stay 6 feet away and you're wearing a mask. But it's still possible to participate in community. It might just take a little extra effort. So make sure that you reach out and stay connected. Stay connected with people, especially if you're struggling. Let someone know. Don't isolate yourself. Don't sit back and don't sit back and wonder, well, where is everybody? Why isn't anybody reaching out? Well, you reach out to them and just call somebody and let them know, hey, I'm struggling. I just want somebody to know. Or if you know someone who is struggling or you suspect they might be, then reach out to them. Make it a point to give them a call, to send them a text, send them a note, something to just connect with them and say, how you doing? I just want you to know that I'm praying for you. That can go so far. It can do so much to help someone's state of mind, to let them know somebody is thinking about them. They may not be able to meet in person, but somebody's thinking about them. Help others stay connected to community, and you stay connected to community. I mean, with all the technology we have, it shouldn't be difficult. So those are just 4 simple practices that we can do that are emotionally life-giving. You know, pay attention, take notice of the influences you're taking in, the things that you are allowing into your eyes, your ears, your mind, your heart. And be careful what you hold on to. Purge out any trace of bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness, ill will towards someone. Purge that out. Say, well, they did something to deserve it. That's never an excuse. That's never an excuse. So be careful of holding on to those things. 3, direct your mind to the Lord. Think more on Him than you do on other things. Don't give Him 5 minutes and everything else 8 hours. Okay? So direct your mind more and more, even throughout the day. Direct your mind to the Lord. And be sure to participate in healthy community. Participate means you interact and someone else interacts back. It's a back and forth. Those things matter, and they will help you maintain emotional health. Now for the benediction. May the Lord bless you and protect you. May He smile on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you His favor and give you His peace. Let's worship.
Let praise be a weapon that silences the enemy. Let praise be a weapon that conquers all anxiety. Let it rise. Let praise arise. We sing your name in the dark and it changes everything. We sing with all we are and we claim your victory. Let it rise. Let praise arise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side, forever lifted high, with all Let faith be a song that overcomes the raging sea. Let faith be a song that calms the storm inside of me. Let it rise. Let faith arise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side, forever lifted high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you.